Hi, welcome to the last talk show. Tonight we're talking to Dave Koechner, Champ Kind, in Anchorman. Are we being photobombed?
All the way from the island of Nantucket, Massachusetts, it's the Last Talk Show! The Last Talk Show!
First of all, welcome to the last talk show. Dave Koechner is one of the funniest humans you'll ever come across. He's so much more than the man you see here before you. He is also 1,000 characters within him. What part of the fun of working with Dave is that he commits so fully to the people who live with inside him that it's a miracle. Anyway, Dave, how are you?
It's part of the fun and the pain. I'm great, Donick. Great to see you again. Always a pleasure.
I'm just going to start with, what's your secret?
What's your secret? The one about the murder, or the secret to what?
Your secret to staying, the ability to keep finding characters that tickle you and make you want to do this.
So I can answer the want to do this quite easily, because I know it just gets tiring to hear an actor go, "Oh, it's the joy. I'm so blessed." But I will say this. This is what I say to people generally. Here's what my job is. So always wanted to be an actor as a kid growing up in Missouri. And then when it actually happened, I love it. I love everything about show business, the good, the bad, the ugly. Everything about show business, I love it. I love the heartbreak. I love the triumph. I love the in-between. But so this is how I think about my job, what I get to do. Anytime there's a play, we all know what a play is. That's something you see on stage. Now, if you do television, the script for television is called a teleplay. And then if you do a movie, it's called a screenplay. And of course, the the noun and the verb of that word is what? Play. So that's literally my job. Pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Donick, we had just fun all the time. Donick and I worked together years ago on a TV show called The Naked Trucker and T-Bone Show. One could argue it was less than successful, but it's not a failure. The fact that it exists is wonderful.
We got in a big fight on that show. I walked out of it with 2 stitches in my eye. I still have a little scar here. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. I assume that you were in a sketch then when it happened.
I was.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I was going to bring that up because you were wearing a bear costume.
For whatever reason, I had found myself as the guy in the bear suit on the Letterman show. So when a bear suit sketch came up on this show, I was like, well, that's clearly what Donick's good at. Donick should just play the bear.
Well, Donick Cary and David Koechner didn't get in a fight. But the character Gerald T-Bones Tibbins and a live bear, a live hitchhiking bear that they picked up, those two got in a fight.
But to shoot this thing, we have a rented bear costume.
This is important. A rented bear costume built for discomfort.
Yeah, no, the inside was made of chicken wire and paper mache, so it's had a lot of pointy metal things that were on that when you put the bear head on, they kind of scrape down onto your head.
It's a cheap bear suit. Yes.
It's a cheap bear suit that may have been around since Charlie Chaplin movies.
It was worn.
It happened to be 110 degrees, and the only signage around said "Beware of rattlesnakes." So we're in this thing just sweating, and then it was like ready, go. And if you know Dave Koechner at all, you know that once he's in character, the character is in charge. So suddenly I found myself acting as a guy in a bear suit, wrestling Gerald for real.
Yeah. So folks, you might be thinking, well, it's show business. Don't you have a stunt coordinator? Not with our budget.
Did 4 or 5 takes of wrestling, and at some point the head shifted so that I was kind of looking out of one eyeball over here, but the part of the nose was digging into my eye. And I could feel a combination of sweat and maybe some thick sweat that might have been blood or something coming down. we finished the scene, took off the helmet.
Yeah.
I did get a couple stitches there, but it was
Right.
well worth it.
So I'm still trying to go back to the original question of what's the secret. The other part is this. I love working. I really love it. I love working in, the job I do. But I know you've always been a very hard worker since you were a child. And so have I. I started working for my father when I was 7 years old. Now, it was a blessing and a curse. The curse was like, I'm 7, like, what? So childhood stopped at 7 in a way, because now you're working. And it wasn't like it wasn't like he thought, I'm stealing from you. My dad thought, I'm going to give you this gift.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you work beginning at 7. So the secret is hard work, desire, and a little bit of crazy, I guess, because, where does it come from? Well, it's there. Figure out how to use it. I would say that probably applies to everybody. Yeah. You've got something, dig it out, and then use it.
I think it's really interesting throwing in the sort of the working class aspect of understanding hard work as a kid. I think for me, that was always like just something you do now. Is like you have a job, that's what gives you money. And then there was like this sort of revelation at some point that like, oh, I could actually figure out how to do something really fun that still does that and put all of that work ethic into this thing that is actually fun. So I can't complain about it anymore,
What was your first job, Donick?
First job was, I was actually here on Nantucket Island. I got a job washing dishes at a place called the Patisserie Marty when I was 12. It was the summer I was 12.
Oh.
And it was a French bakery. So the dishes were massive. They were giant bowls.
Now they'll be illegal. That's called child labor.
Not in France. Not in the French part of the island. I think the first 3 jobs I had was washing dishes and
the first 3, because you thought, well, I've clearly found the thing I'm good at.
Look, this is back in the 80s, early 80s probably was my first job, and you'd get between $12 and $15 an hour cash. So at 12, 13 years old, you'd work a 40-hour week. That was a stack of cash, no taxes.
I worked for my dad at 7. That would have been 1969.
Yeah.
And my dad gave me 5 cents an hour.
What was the job you were doing? Like, what was the majority of the work?
Well, folks, my father worked in manufacturing. He had his own business where he manufactured livestock trailers specifically to haul turkeys from farms to the processing plant. A processing plant means a kill floor, gang. So, but we built the cages that you'll see on large trucks going down the highway that haul birds. Those are made in Tipton, Missouri. And I was part of that. So my job's at 7, not unlike dishwasher, it would be cleaning the office that they had and the toilets. So pretty profound work. Then I'd be cleaning up around the machines. You all have these metal fabrication machines that not every piece of that thing is needed. If you need to cut out a piece of stamped metal, there is scrap metal laying around. Then my responsibility would be to collect that and put it in bins to be taken away and sold for scrap. But looking back on it, working pretty close approximation to dangerous machines.
What I love about that is it's such an insight into where some of these characters you pull. I'll use the word specificity, which gets thrown around in Hollywood a lot. But what I love watching you as you develop characters is how specific and how there's a lot of pain in the men that you put together.
That is true. All of them have a lot of pain, but that's always tickled me so much.
Yeah.
Maybe because, I have pain too, you have pain, we all do. And maybe it's my desire to understand it or laugh at it because the particular pain that I see in other people, well, at least I don't have that one.
Let's talk about Anchorman. I was thinking about this when it came out of how much joy it brought to sit in the theater and have somebody make something so loony and fun and crazy with so beautifully executed the craziness that was in it. I'll just start with, what should we know as a viewing audience about to walk into this? What should we know about this film?
It's the mind of Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. Adam McKay is brilliantly funny. You know Adam from the Anchorman films and also from God, what's the thing he got the Oscar for?
Cheney, right?
The one before that. Based on the economic collapse.
Yes, that one.
Yes. Anyway. So, and then again, you know, you're working with just brilliant people, and it never feels like work. It's just fun. Now, here's the magnanimity of Adam McKay. Most people, when they're the writer and director, everything's precious. Like, say what I wrote. But Adam, because he has an improv background, and everyone else that was in that movie does too, we would do the scripted lines about 3 times, and then Adam eventually developed this phrase, like, let's let the squirrel out of the bag, which meant to us, you can improvise. So that doesn't happen in most films. Now, there's 2 reasons for that. People are precious about what they've written. Adam's not. He's respectfully precious, but he's willing to go, there's always a better idea, or there's always potentially better ideas. You know, he doesn't think, I've done the last one. So we'll improvise, and he knows how to use it. That's the other thing. Not everyone understands how to take this value and make it purposeful to serve what the situation is. So Adam could do that, but not everybody is adept at improvising or good. So if you've got the right assembly of persons that know what they're dealing with, it's wonderfully fun. And I think the specialness of the film is that it kind of, I've said this before, it creates this chemical reaction, because we know we're going to be doing this scene, and actors, you know, as much as you want to claim you're in the scene, and I'm hanging on every word, you know when your line's coming up.
Right.
So he or she says that, blah, blah, my line. Now, if you know you're improvising in the scene, you've actually got to listen. So the attention changes. Not thinking of yourself going, my line's coming up, something else is in my head. Oh, here it is. If you're improvising, you're really living the moment. That's what true acting is. So there's a spontaneity to it, and I believe that comes across in the film. There's a different energy happening. Not only that, but every day plus you're trying not to blow the take, because all these people are devastatingly funny, and so your acuity is even higher. And you're like, don't laugh. And there's many takes that we've all blown. Every one of us has blown someone else's great take, but you want to be disciplined and not laugh. Now, you might think it's cute, but it's really dishonorable, because if I laugh and someone else is talking, that ruins the thing that they're doing. And if they're improvising, it might be the only time that actual piece of spontaneity is captured on film. So really, it's your duty to stay disciplined and not be an audience member while you're in it. But sometimes it's so brilliant, you just can't. So that happens. So you'll see. Now, I had the good fortune of having this wide-brimmed cowboy hat. So if I was about to laugh, I would just kind of dip the hat and go. But I'll give you an example of one where it was caught on film and they just had to use it. There's a companion piece to the original Anchorman called Wake Up Ron Burgundy. An entire second plot point of that movie was removed, and they reshoot the end of the movie. So there's a whole other movie. I'm sure it's online. It's on YouTube, but you can buy it. I won't be paid for it, so don't care. But there's a scene where we're supposed to rescue Veronica Corningstone, who's been captured by this group of terrorists that don't know what wrong way terrorists that don't know what they're really doing, and they have her kidnapped, and we're about to go free her from an observatory, and then myself and Paul Rudd, we're framed behind this tree looking at how we're going to go mount this place. And in the movie, Brick Tamlin, played by Steve, is not very bright. We all created our own backstories of things that are fun for us to believe. our belief was that we'd all been buddies together in Vietnam, and that's why Brick is working with us, because he got shell shocked and became Brick. But before that, he was, an amazing lieutenant. But we felt it was our job to, take care of him in some way for the rest of his life. So in this scene, there's a forked tree that we're all hiding behind, and framing that tree is myself and Paul Rudd and Brick. And so Steve's the squirrel's out of the bag. He's improvising, and we're thinking like how we're gonna free her. And all of a sudden, Steve starts doing this. Stand down. All right, here's how it's gonna happen. We're gonna go around. I don't have the language in my head right now. Go around double helix, and gave all this flowery language of how we're gonna make this attack, free Veronica Corningstone. But I didn't know he was gonna do this, so it was just goddamn funny. In the take that's used in the movie, you can see me and Rudd about to break. Just like, oh, God damn it, what the fuck is happening is what is my mind. Like, I can't not laugh, but you have to. And you see me kind of smile or dip like that. And I think you see Rudd kind of go, trying to act like he's paying attention, but he's clearly laughing. So that's one thing you could know.
That happens.
Again, I can't tell a shorter story.
That's okay.
I'll tell you another one that's a fun little nugget, that none of us felt worthy of working with the other people in the movie. And as evidence to that, I'll say that in the first picture, myself and Steve and Paul were all in this long trailer. And if you're shooting on location, folks, that's called a 3-banger. What you hope to do is have your own, 18-foot trailer. But this is probably 20 feet and in 3 different sections, gives you a little room to hang out in during your downtime. So we would most often just hang there and go into each other's rooms and talk. And after the first week, we had all had the same conversation with our wives that first weekend. Oh my God, I can't keep up with these guys. They're all so much funnier than I. But it was interesting that we all had the same exact conversation, feeling like we were the odd man out. Clearly, we're cut from the film, and I just simply can't keep up. But as evidence, we could all keep up, and we were wonderful together. But there's another tidbit.
One of the reasons I always gravitated towards being a writer is because, and maybe it's because I've never taken improv, and maybe this is something you learn, is there's this impulse to be the funniest guy in the room always. Always, like, there's a competitive thing that drives you.
Yeah.
You want the last laugh. This is an all-star cast. This is Will Ferrell and Steve Carell and Fred Willard and Fred Armisen, and there's a million funny Freds and Laura Keitlinger. I mean, how do you learn that skill that like you're often funnier when you're not always the funniest guy in the room?
I think what you do is not be selfish and recognize when someone has something. Let's all enjoy it. We're all blessed to be around something that's brilliant right now, and it'll be your turn. Will come around. So the negative thing about the upside is you're on your best of trying to be your funniest in the most giving way.
Yeah,
like it's really prayer, if I could call that down. I'm praying. I'm here giving, praying to the comedy gods, trying to divine it. That's what you're doing when you're writing. Please come to me. Great line. Please come. You're praying. Let me have this thing that I can put in this Bible of prayer. I think that's how I can describe it. Yeah. So I guess, metaphorically, like, let this guy's talking to God now. Let me listen to it. Don't let me interrupt someone else praying to God. I guess that's how I can describe it.
I think when you find the world of comedy as the place that feeds you, the reverence you take with it, that it's like a great song coming to you or whatever, is that these should be cherished. These movies. Yes. And Anchorman to me is one of those. You watch it and you go like, how did somebody get this made? This is a beautiful thing that somebody was able to pull off.
I always have to go back to Adam and Will. The script was just so brilliant. And people go, how much was improvised? I don't know, because even lines that seem improvised, I'll give you an example. That has become a popular one of mine was, I will smash your face into a car windshield and then take your mother out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. Now, I know half of that line was, I believe, I'll take you out for a nice seafood dinner and then drive golf balls into your mother or something like that. And then I was trying to think of another line, and I'll say Steve Carell came up with this one. Nice seafood dinner. Then I'll take your Dorothy Mantooth out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. And I think we worked on that together. I don't know what my part was, but I know that Steve's was nice seafood dinner that I would never have come up with. But Steve, like yourself, grew up on the East Coast. So that's part of your everyday experience, having a seafood dinner.
Right.
And so that's specificity to it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take your mother out to a nice seafood dinner, and then the greatest eternal conflict that you can add to this person's life is never call you again. So you'll go out to a nice seafood dinner that intuits that you had a great time and this is going swimmingly well. And if you don't call again, that might sit with you for the rest of your life. But I'm not going to do it to you. Yeah. I'm going to do it to your mother. But the thing is, if you drove golf balls at a person's mother, you've only committed a crime and a terrorist act.
Right.
But this other thing that's benign.
Yeah.
I take you out to a nice dinner, but then to never call again. Yeah. You'll be tortured for the rest of your life. That man never called me again. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So you've not hurt this person once. But the beauty of this joke is it's just hell.
Right.
Forever. You're tortured by what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I asked out for a second dinner?
Have you watched the movie with your kids? And if so, what were the parts that they loved and what were their criticisms that were like, oh, that killed me?
Well, it's been several years. Charlie's right here. Charlie, do you remember when you first watched Anchorman with me? Charlie's shirtless, so I almost want you to come over and be on the call, but this is a Zoom. When you first watched Anchorman at the house, do you remember anything that struck you that was really funny, that stayed with you? Nope. No. Not funny, folks. I don't know. I can't come up with one.
Thanks, Charlie.
Donick Cary. You remember Donick from the Naked Dragon T-Bone Show.
Hey, how's it going?
Charlie's in the middle of his workout, gang.
What's the workout today?
He does them all. He does a circuit, most often. But there's what's your workout today, son? Arms and back. There you go.
Great. The show is brought to us by Muzak, which supports kids' music programs. We have a segment called Tips for Kids.
Come on, guys, help the kids out. Go to muzak.org. No, that's the way you spell it.
Do you have any tips for kids?
I have tips for parents. So that tip would be kids, we all need two things, but especially when you're trying to be there. Number one, of course, is patient. Be patient enough to realize everything you say is important. And that we all want two things, to be seen and to be heard. And that's not something to be dismissed. It actually, you have to patiently do it. So, your kid wants something. Okay. So no, that hurts. That makes them not important. You wouldn't say that to your friends. So see them, actually look at them and hear them and acknowledge those things. But tips for kids, if they're older and can understand things, especially around these teenage years, thing about making good choices. Is this going to make me stronger or weaker? Of course, I'm talking about drugs or risky behaviors. And so that's your choice. Every decision you can make, either you can make a strong choice or a weak choice, no matter what you're going to do. You can do your homework, that's going to make you stronger. You're going to cheat on it, not going to make you weaker. And that'll impact you in life. I don't know.
What's the last great movie you saw?
Charlie and I watched No Country for Old Men the other day. He'd not seen it. God, I love that film.
Last thing in the last couple hours that made you so mad?
Well, as you know, Donick, I love anger is my fuel. Nothing today has upset me, which I know you've got to, must be astonished by. So Today I have not found anger. It's coming.
What's the last thing that made you optimistic?
I don't know. As much as I can be filled with consternation, I'm mostly an optimistic guy. I'm working on several projects, so just the thought of those things that are coming makes me optimistic.
What would your last meal be?
I had to do Gerald. Well, my last meal is probably gonna be a corn dog sandwich and a Coke. That's Gerald, folks.
I love the phrase, it's good to let the squirrel out of the bag sometimes. I think that's great advice for everybody. And
Yes.
Dave, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I'll just give you an insight to show business because people are always suspicious. It's a beautiful, wonderful place filled with the smartest people I've ever met in my life. This young man among them. And it's a joyful, joyful song, your travel through show business. And I love it every day, and I'll do it until my last breath. So that's my last thought.
Beautiful. Everybody enjoy Anchorman tonight. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you on the flip-flop.
Yes. Okay, that's a trucker's term, gang.
Dave, thank you.
I love you, friend.
I love you too. It's great to see you. Stay in touch.
Thank you. You too. Okay, peace. Bye.